Okay, so now we're going to move on to question 2. So question 2 has to do with this object being projected straight up in the air. And so the formula is right here. And the first part says find the time at which the object reaches its maximum height. So that means we're trying to find the x or t value of the vertex, because the vertex occurs at the maximum. So we do negative b, that's the b value, over 2 times a. So we get negative 32 over negative 32, which gives us 1, and that value is 1 second. Okay, so part A is that the object reaches its maximum height at 1 second. Now part B is asking for, well, what is the height that it actually reaches at its max? So we simply plug in 1 into the function, and we get negative 16 plus 32 times 1 plus 10, which is going to give us 1626 meters. Okay. Put 1 in and square it. So we just replaced t with 1. So negative 16 times 1 squared is negative 16, plus 32 times 1 is plus 32, plus 10, 32 minus 16, 16 plus 10, 26 meters. So the object reaches its maximum height when the time is after 1 second. All right, now the next part is to figure out when the rocket hits the ground. So the rocket hits the ground when the object, which is part C, the object hits the ground when its height is 0. So we set the function equal to 0. And then we use whatever we want to find out where it does it. It says it does not say calculate it by hand, so we don't have to calculate it by hand. So I'm going to go onto my calculator and key in this function, negative 16x squared plus 32x, we can use x instead of t when we're graphing it, plus 10. And then I'm going to do window, and I'm going to go from 0 to 3. And my y-min, I'm going to be negative 5 to 30. And when I graphed that on my calculator, I got a picture that looked like this. Okay, and so we know that this point right here is 126. And here, where it hits the x-axis, is when it hits the ground. So we're going to use our calculator feature that we know about, which is called the 0 feature, which is on the videos, the calculator videos. And we get that the rock hits the ground at the time, I'm going to round it to 3 decimal places, 2.2.275 seconds. All right, so if you don't want to use your calculator to figure out where it hits the ground, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula and do that by hand. So the calculator is a nice tool.